Welcome to the question of the day. Today's question is from Ted in North Carolina. And Ted asks, how do I prevent customers from shopping around? Great question, Ted. Thank you for asking. Yeah, shopping around, right? Like that's a really tough objection. Like, how do you tell somebody not to shop around? I mean, that's just how mama raised me. So some people will shop around. First, I want to talk about a study that I worked with another company to do, and then some other studies that are out there. Let's define how many people actually are shopping around, and then use that to start creating some strategies of what do we do with customers that do want to shop around. So, first study I'm going to talk about. There's a study I personally put together with a data collection and survey company that works with Stanford. And we put together this study, and it was a study that went out to 4,800 people, 4,800 consumers. And it was digging into what do customers value when they're making a purchase of $20,000 or more. And there was a number of things to pull out of the study, but one that ties into this was depending on the demographic you were looking at, between 10 and 16% of buyers price was their top factor. Now, that was down below a number of other factors, though, such as overall value, company they trust, the people. It was underneath those values. But it gives me an idea of about 10 to 16% of people, price was their top factor. And so those are your people that are going to be shopping around, those ones that none of this other stuff matters. Like you can have the best value, you can be a company that I trust, you can be a great person, but like I'm still going to shop around, right? And so about 10 to 16%, somewhere in there, depending on the demographic. Now there's a study from Google as well. Google says the top three reasons customers make large purchases is that it's a company they trust, that there's value, the overall value, and the company has a good reputation. So none of the top three reasons in the Google study were price. You can also look at sources like Jeffrey Gitomer, The Little Red Book of Selling. In his book, he says about 10% of customers are price-driven customers that are going to be the ones shopping around. So that starts to just give me an idea of like how many of my customers should be shopping around. So somewhere between 10 and 16%. Because sometimes shopping around is not a real objection. Sometimes that's not the plan. The only reason they're shopping around is because I have a poor process, or I didn't deliver the value, or they don't trust me, or I can't do it in a timely manner. And so it's tough to disseminate. When is it truly, this is how mama raised me, and I just shop around, versus I'm shopping around because I don't like you or your company, and I'm just too nice to tell you. You can't really figure that out, right? But we have to account for that. So 10 to 16% of people are only looking for the best price. Those are the ones shopping around according to these studies. Others have other priorities. And so what we want to do first, like make sure you're executing a rock solid process and you're building as much value as you possibly can. This means you have a defined process that you execute every customer every time. You're using a scorecard to identify how well are you executing that process and what are the areas that I can constantly be getting better at. You have somebody riding along with you to identify those blind spots of what am I missing and what could get better. Then you're training on those things. You're doing one-on-ones. Like I'm constantly working at building value through my process. That's honestly the best thing you're going to do to combat shopping around. When you are the best, when you check all the boxes, well, it says here about 90% of customers are going to move forward with you because they value something other than just the cheapest price. So in addition to all of this, though, I do have three things that you can do. You can do these today that are going to take you above and create a great value building process. So three things in addition. So here's the first thing. First thing is I want you to sit down, ideally as a team, not by yourself. Get more brains involved in this, right? And I would even like get the owner of the company involved in this. But make a list. Make a list of everything that makes you better than the competition. Why are you better than the competition? Why would I choose you over them? What makes you better? Make that list. Make a really long list. And there better be a long list. If there's not a long list, well, that's why they're shopping around. There was one company I worked with years ago, an automotive service shop, and I asked that question. I said, "What makes you better than the competition?" And the owner goes, "I don't know." Well, okay, there's your problem. If you're the owner and you don't know why you're better, your customers have no idea why you're better. So of course they're going to be shopping around. So step one, as a team, as a group, make a list of why you're better. And I say include the owner in this too, because they should know why you're better. This is their baby, their company, their blood, sweat, and tears. They know why they founded this company, and they're going to know why they're better than the competition. So make a long, exhaustive list. This is going to be things like, hey, we do quality work. We've been in business this many years. Our Google score is this. We have this many Google reviews. So it should be a long, comprehensive list. That's just the tipping point, but a long list. Step two, once I have that list, here's what I want to do with it. I want to refine that list down. And here's how I'm going to do that. I'm going to refine it down by tangible things that I can prove versus things that I can't prove. Here's what I mean by that. A bad example would be we do quality work. That's probably true. You probably do quality work, but I don't know that until you've done the work. And every one of your competitors says the exact same thing. So everybody says they do quality work. Nobody's going to say, hey, we do subpar work, right? Everybody says it. I don't know it till after the fact. So that's not really a good one that's going to differentiate me from my competitors. Now, something like a Google score, that is. That's something that a customer could see. I could pull that up on my phone right now, and I could compare your Google score versus another company's Google score. And that ties right in to those studies that I mentioned before, where customers are looking for a company they can trust, a company that has a good reputation. Well, if you have a high Google score with a lot of Google reviews, that's a company that I can trust and a company that has a good reputation. This truly is the best sense of the experience I'm going to get. This is the voice of the people. This isn't me. This isn't an advertisement. This is the voice of the people and their experiences that they've gotten. And so this is a really good indicator that if I have a higher Google score with more Google reviews, that is going to differentiate me from the competition because I can simply look at it. It's going to be black and white. Now, if you don't have a good Google score, you don't have a lot of reviews, I got a lot of strategies there. We should jump on a call and talk about those. But that would be an example of a good one. So I want you to refine that list. Refine that list down to those things that are tangible that you can see and those things that maybe aren't going to be impactful that everybody says, and I can't really see it until after the fact, right? So then step three, I made my list. I prioritized it to those tangible things like the Google review. Now, as a team, I want to work this into our process. And so what I'm going to do, like in a training, I'm going to have that documented process up, right? Like I can see my process, step one, step two, I can see the process. Now I want to brainstorm, how do I work that into my process so that I can weave these things in early. I can be proactive in building value and establishing like why I'm the company that you want to go with, right? I'm the company you can trust. I'm the company with the good reputation. And I'll give you an example. I rode with a company last year. I rode with a plumber in Seattle, and we were out running a call. And he asked this question every single time because he knew they had a 4.9 Google score and they had like 6,000 reviews. He knew his competition wasn't even close to what they had. So he wanted to weave that in early. So this is a question he asked every single time. Almost as soon as he got into the home and he started working with the customer, he would ask this question: how did you hear about us? And no matter how the customer answered the question, he was going to weave in that Google score. So if he said, hey, how did you hear about us? And they said, oh, we found you on Google. He said, oh yeah, most people do find us on Google. We're a 4.9 with 6,000 reviews. Like we really stand out. Now, if they said anything other than Google, he would say almost the exact same thing with just a different facial expression. He would say, "Hey, how did you hear about us?" "Oh, some other source." "Oh, well, actually, most customers find us on Google because we're a 4.9 with about 6,000 reviews, so we really stand out." No matter how you answered his question, he naturally weaved in, we're a 4.9 with 6,000 reviews. He's saying, without saying, we are the company you can trust. We are the company that has the good reputation. That's just one example. So you're going to make a whole list. You're going to refine that list down to those tangible things like that Google review. And then you're going to figure out, how do I weave those into my process? So now I'm executing a process. I'm getting better at my process every day. And I'm weaving in things, these golden BBs, that are going to make me stand out versus my competitors. I'm going to eliminate the shopping around objection before it even comes up. Now, if that shopping around objection still comes up, that's something that we tackle in the objection boot camp. And I spend a whole long time, like half a day, just focusing on objections like this. Because the first thing we have to do is we got to figure out, is this a real objection or is this a fake objection? And I can dig into that because sometimes it's a fake objection. Sometimes it's a, I just don't trust you and I'm too nice to tell you. So I'm going to say shopping around. It's a preventative measure of I don't want to be sold to, but it's not really the objection. So we have to dig in and find out, one, is it a fake objection or is it a real objection? That's how mama raised me and I'm going to get 3 quotes, right? I have to dig in and find that out. And if it is then a real objection, how do I handle that? And I've got a strategy, a raising the bar strategy of how I can dig into that and still try to close that in the home respectfully or set myself up that I'm still going to be the company that they move forward with. It's reactive, but it works well if you're doing all this proactive work to prevent that shopping around objection. The key is everything we talked about, not just overcoming the objection, is being proactive. Make your list, refine that list, work it into your sales process. That's today's question of the day. Start following on major streaming services and make sure you rate and leave a comment. If you have a question, reach out to me either on social media or email. Both are going to be listed in the show description below. Let's get your question answered. And if you're a Nextstar member, schedule a call with me. Let's address this one-on-one. Let's get into your specific situation. I'm Coach Chris. We'll see you tomorrow.